begin with a developing story out of Quincy for a vote of no confidence against Deputy Police Chief Mike Tyler, which stemmed from a February incident.
A formal reprimand that Chief Adam Yates sent to WGEM News states the police union's vote came after allegations of harassment and unbecoming conduct that Tyler committed against a Quincy police officer. According to the reprimand, 2 officers went to Tyler's office for a meeting. But Tyler didn't want one officer in the meeting who was acting as a witness for the police union. It states Tyler tried closing the door, but one of the officers was holding it open.
Tyler is then accused of telling that officer to talk to him one-on-one when, quote, he's man enough, end quote. Chief Yates' review found Tyler's conduct unbecoming, sustaining the harassment allegation. Yates mandated that Tyler complete a 4-hour block of emotional intelligence training within 6 months. Meanwhile, Tyler issued a statement to all QPD employees saying, quote, yes, even a deputy chiefs make mistakes too. We are all human, and when we do, we should be held accountable. Discipline is meant to correct undesirable behavior, and we have already learned some lessons and implemented procedures as a result of this situation, end quote.